international law. That is why even in war-torn areas like in Afghanistan, within the last 20 years when the US were fighting against the rebels or the Taliban, schools were ongoing in Afghanistan. The similar situation in Syria, schools were ongoing. And when we look at the invasion of Iraq in March 20, 2003, schools were still ongoing and schools were not closed. However, we are witnessing the attacks of schools in the northwest and southwest region. It is coming at a time when many are advocating for effective resumption, when students and pupils must have the right as enshrined in national and international law that education to a child or to any human being, they have the inalienable right which must be respected. And we are seeing the attack of schools and colleges. Teachers are the front line by those who ought to protect them and those who claim they are fighting for them. Yet the communities, in one way or the other, are fighting at both ends in what has been described as hypocrisy. When Chongwon Carolis was killed in Boya in the southwest region, to be more precise, we saw how the population rose up and went to the governor's office and called for an investigation and sanctions to be done. Similar situation occurred in Bamenda when we all witnessed how the population rallied when a pupil, a 7-year-old pupil, was accidentally killed in Bamenda. And we have witnessed now in a Kondo Titi where close to 3 students were killed and 1 teacher killed, yet the population is seemingly helpless in this case. And where is the hypocrisy? What can the community do in order for us to protect our schools and ensure that our children go to school effectively and study? Because education is a good thing. As we always sing in primary school, that school is a good thing, learning is a good thing. We are all who we are today because some of us went to school, and it is time for those who are within the northwest and southwest region to be given the privilege to have the same education. My name is TAH MAI JARVIS. This is House of Commons. You're welcome back from that transition. We are waiting for our guest, but to begin the program today, I'll begin by introducing to you Ignatius, who is a member of our panel. Mr. Ignatius, a privilege to have you. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, Jarvis. Happy Sunday to televiewers of My Media Prime. I'm happy to be here with you once more again. And Cameroon, which used to be described as an island of peace, has today become an island of chaos. But anyway, I always have hopes. I'm always having hopes ahead as time goes by. No matter how long the night be, there shall be light at the end of the tunnel. If only we can understand ourselves. I quite remember the reggae star Lucky Dupe, who said that if cats and dogs can forgive each other, and then one more of human being, if we can believe in that, and then we have to understand that the issue we are having at hand is a very easy thing to solve it, and we should apply it and behave as human being. As human being, everything is going to be okay. Once more, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you all in the houses, wherever you're watching us from. We want to acknowledge you. Those of you watching us on Facebook and different social media platforms, we want to acknowledge you. I want to also say that in case you may want to become a member of a panel, or you may want to be a guest in one of our editions, you can contact me on the numbers on your screen, 676-431-384. You can contact me. I will send you the topic ahead of time, and you will be a member of our panel. Ignatius, let us move straight to what happened in Ikondo Titi. We've seen series of attacks in our schools and colleges, universities, as well as private institutions. This is not the first time we are witnessing this trend, but the sad reality is that we lost close to 3 of our compatriots, 3 students and a teacher who was struggling to give education to the peace-loving people of Ikondo Titi.
It is very, very unfortunate that we had that incident, just as others have been happening. And in this juncture, I would like to say that it could be, as you said from the beginning, that in other countries they have been able to go through a crisis while schools are going on. Our own situation is becoming different from other countries. It could be easy if the responsibility was only in the hands of the government, because you see, the government, it is easy for the government to impose laws and sanctions, and it will go, because the government, it is easy for the government to identify even their own some elements, like the elements of men of uniform who maybe commit some crime. It's easy to control it at the level of the government. But now the trouble here is the other side. You see, the side of the separatists has become in this other way, so that even they themselves do not even understand all the groups that are on the field. It is a very complicated situation. We are talking today because the proposals that have been given by Cameroonians have not been applied. That's why today we are forced to be thinking about other measures that can be applied, since our own situation is different from other countries, Syria, Afghanistan, as you just quoted. Since we have rejected to apply that law, then we begin to think how people can survive. Now I see, according to me, I want to go straight. I begin to see that at this level, because we are talking about two parties, the government forces and the separatists. These people do not respect anything as per se. We are talking about an attack on schools. Now, what is very important is the survival of those who are on the field. Remember, in some years behind, the government realized that the poachers were killing forest guards who were on their duty. What did the government do? The government had to take these forest guards and send them to Kutaba. They are trained like military. They make them professional. If you want to see that sector now, that problem has been settled. There is no cry anymore, because those people can protect themselves. But right now, the problem is on the teachers and the people. It is left for the government to find a solution for the teachers. And if the solution is not coming, then the people on the field should begin to look for ways of surviving. What do I mean? If you know that you have to respect a law that will cost you your life, it is better you don't respect the law. I'm talking particularly like teachers. You know, teachers have become a target. So they are caught by these guys, and some of are tortured, some are just killed direct. If you know, it is better to be alive than to engage in an issue that will cost you your life. You see, there are politicians who use, you know, normally education is supposed to be neutral from this issue. Let us try to avoid using education as a kind of like a tool that we use to measure victory. Are you getting me right? You know, there are places, we know that there are places that education is going, like those central towns, there are places like Kambe. According to me, I believe that when those zones like that, we should not talk about them when education is concerned. We should talk about other issues.
Why Mr. Ignatius, yeah. Why do we even attack schools? Because we understand that these are people who don't have arms, and they are neither collaborators, because they are going there for education. There is no one in the northwest and the southwest region who probably is picked up arms that would say that they never went to school. Or even if it is the primary 1, 2, 3, 4. And it is a ripple effect. Why do we claim that we are protecting or fighting to protect the same people that we are killing, not knowing that some of them can become engineers that may end up empowering the same system that we want to change?
The very people who attack schools have gone to school. But in this way, that's why we're trying to say that we should stop using schools as a tool of experiment to show victory. You see, the problem is because we are involving schools in the crisis that is going on. Are you getting me right? When an elite or a politician come to the media and begin to boast on how in my area there are no separatists, in my area has become stable. You see, that is like bringing education into the politics. That education now that statement is like provocation to the other group. But I'm not encouraging that act of attacking schools, because really education has become a right. It's just like living. Living without education is like it's just like you are not alive. But now we should avoid bringing what concerns education into what is going on. That's one of the reasons. If you have to interview some of these guys, their reason is they will give their reasons, like, you know, to them attacking school is like attacking the government, and which is wrong. You know that attacking school, killing these people, closing school, is you are punishing the children and punishing even the teachers who are on the field. There's another I read a paper somewhere where the DO of Ngoke Tunja, who engaged in this issue of education, making a control to know teachers who are on the field, teachers who have abandoned their duties. He engaged into the fight himself, right to the level that up to more than 500 teachers, their salaries have been suspended at the level of Yaoundé. Under his personal supervision, he calls there and gives the name for the salaries to be. According to me, I don't see it as a solution. We should not, let it not be like we are. The competition is now at the level of education. It is bringing more tension than.
Okay.
Yes. We should not involve education into the politics.
Thank you. We've just been joined by Mr. Kitishi Laurence. He is a senior journalist. Mr. Kitishi Laurence, you've witnessed this conflict since it started in 2016, and we are talking about education. How do we protect our schools? What should the communities do to protect their schools and colleges and universities from this ongoing armed conflict?
Well, it's a challenging issue because even the communities are not safe. So the challenge is how can they be safe themselves and then protect schools and even churches, because there was one in schools, like you pointed out. So the biggest issue is taking up the courage to be together. Taking up the courage to be together, not being dispersed, because I know the fear factor has come in and has made it in such a way that people are no longer having that communion where they can meet in groups, in Yangi houses, and otherwise, if they could get the courage of trying to form back their social groups. From there now, vigilante groups have proven their worth, not necessarily to combat armed people, but especially to give information. Especially to give information, because that is what is lacking. Before somebody enters a school, if you had people maybe placed at the surroundings, particular entrances that are known for the school, if you have people placed out there to supervise, to watch over there, that's what it's guarding the school virtually. And then as soon as you notice anything abnormal, you invite those who are stronger than you are to come in and intervene, be it the police, be it the gendarmerie officers, depending on wherever you are and who is around there. I think that would be the first step. You may ask the next question whether after protecting the school, you'll be able to protect the children when they leave from home to go to school. Elsewhere, the strategy of non-wearing of uniforms has been adopted, and even books has been adopted, whereby you don't really need to carry books along. You simply leave and you're going like any other person who is going to the farm or anywhere. And then while there now, you study and come back home. If you have any exam, you do it on the spot and go back. So those are some of the strategies which it is true, cannot really keep away the fear factor that is sending away even the community, the people who are supposed to take the task that I'm giving you now.
But how do you explain the situation like we witnessed in Boya? That was, I think, 3 weeks ago when Chungwon Carolis was shot by a gendarmerie officer. The population of Boya rose up and they went to the governor's office. They flooded the street to demand an end to hostility and an end to trigger-happy soldiers to stop their actions. And the same situation occurred in Bamenda 2 weeks ago when a 7-year-old was accidentally killed. We saw how the people of Bamenda rose up again, but we have seen the killing of at least 3 students in a Kondo city and a teacher. And yet the population has not, they have not actually took up as they took the incident in Boya, or maybe something is wrong somewhere?
Nothing much. It's just that for those who know Ekondo Titi, if you compare that environment to Bamenda, to Kumba, and to Boya, you realize that we're talking about two areas of two different levels. One is more rural and limited in population than the other. That is, I say the bigger ones like Kumba, you have Boya, you have Bamenda. They are quite bigger and diverse than Ekondo Titi. Ekondo Titi is rural, not in the sense that it is, I can't say backward, but in terms of population spread. Ekondo Titi is mostly a forest environment, all right? So you can't have the same outing as, or maybe a similar outing like the ones you had in Kumba and Bamenda and wherever, because those who came out there were at that particular time that they came out. And after that, the rest of it was echoes that got to people. You know, Ekondo Titi is no longer, the population that is back there now is not the same like what was there before. Most people have left those areas where the crowd that you see in Boya and Bamenda have mostly left from those areas. And Ekondo Titi is one of them. People actually came out, and if you look at the social media, you see the people were carrying those children. There's a young man who was being carried around there, but the number, like I said, will not be the same. So the reaction I've always said, ever since it came out, people have raised such worries, and I say, no, it's not the same thing. You cannot compare the two. But the same pain, it is the same pain and the same feeling, I will say. You may also say that some people are already fed up. They say, but this is already too much. And maybe
but Mr. Laurence, again, before coming to Ignatius again, assuming that the population of Ekondo Titi, let's say, is small, because we've had migration and of course others who cannot brace the odds, some who probably cannot survive, and those who probably, by virtue of the fact that their businesses is being affected as they've moved on. But we've seen other actions where, like in Bafut or in Batibo, in some villages in the northwest region, where a crime like that is committed, and the villagers in their hundreds rally and protest against the killing. And we've seen areas where we've seen protests in Boya and in Bamenda when students were in St. Francis was attacked in Kumba, when the students were killed. We saw how the women task force in the northwest and southwest, and even in Littoral, some people rose up and asked for an investigation. But we are not seeing such again in Boya. We would have believed that teachers' trade unions, community leaders, stakeholders in these areas that are a bit safe will call for a protest and demand of an end, or government should look into this and stop or resolve this conflict. But we are not seeing that. Are we still to blame the fact that, you know, because it did not happen exactly in Boya?
No. What you are putting now is a question of the involvement and concern from those who have been, who can put it, spearheading the protests. That it is as if Ekondo Titi was kept aside, and the others now, after the others, they thought that then Ekondo Titi is left aside. No, it will be giving it, the blame will be too big. It will be too big. I think it's like counting. I was on the first case. I went on the second. I went on the third. Now this is another fourth one, and still there is no reaction. So do I leave again and continue with the same action? So at one point too, it becomes just too much. It is true, it's human life. It becomes just too much. But again, I say it needs a spark, local momentum to make it happen. And Bamenda, like I say, Kumba, Boya, no, it can happen there easily, and much more easier than Ekondo Titi, because local momentum out there is not the same thing. But it doesn't stop trade unions, like you say, teachers' trade unions, for example, to say, but this is too much on us and the students.
Because a teacher was killed, the students were killed.
It doesn't stop them. I think at that point, I can give you credit for that, to say that, okay, even if that is 3 or 4 too much, they should add it on the list and come out in the same way and protest the same way. Even if nothing will be done, the message would have gone. No, on other level, I have no problem.
Before again, I know I'll stay with you briefly. You are a journalist, and how difficult is it now for journalists to cover such an incident? Because we are talking about the armed groups, and people are being targeted based on, you report what is facts, they call you blackleg, enablers, bought over. You report what is facts in this other end, they call you a collaborator, an apologist, and also. So how difficult it is now for journalists to cover such a tragedy?
No, it's not difficult. When you are the person you are talking about, when you are the professional that you're talking about, the journalist, it will not be difficult because you have the tools. And some of those tools, you already know that this is a war situation. You don't expose yourself unnecessarily. It's not like, oh, I went and interviewed General this or General that, and I'm coming back now with a big scoop to come and put to the public. No, it's not necessary. Oh, I want to insult this general of the army because, I mean, I'm angry, they killed it. No, it's not necessary. So as long as you stand out clearly, it's like you have the journalists, you have the Red Cross, you have doctors, you have, you have Red Cross, you have doctors, you have journalists, and other aid givers, okay, in this kind of situation, who have the obligation to be as neutral as possible. Once you are that way, and you ensure minimum security for yourself, you can work on that. You can work on that. But don't put your hand in the mouth of a tiger just because you think that as a journalist, I have to report. No, no, no. There are things that should also be above you, and you come out of it. However, there are, I will quote unquote, heroes that we have seen who have decided to die at the war front, to face it and get shot, and then their names go into history. You can do that if you decide, but in this context, my advice is simple. Stay professional, have the basic security for yourself, and you will do your job. Don't put your hand in the mouth of the tiger.
Thank you very much, Mr. Laurence. I'll come back to you, Mr. Ignatius. It's kind of a difficult moment for parents out there because parents seems to be helpless because this camp is saying go to school, this other one is saying don't go to school, and your child is left behind. This we are counting 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. We're talking about 6 years. And it means that within the 6 years, according to UNESCO, official figures from UNESCO, close to 850 students are out of school, close to 4,700 schools are shut down, and we are talking about these figures. And if assuming that, it means that from 850,000 students have been out of school for 6 years, how much effect can this be in the community and the society?
Measurable. It is unmeasurable. Because right now we are not seeing the future a bright one because it continues. Just like Mr. Kikishi said from there, I want to start from where he ended before I come really into what you see. This issue of coming out to riot is a very risky act. You see, those people who come out to riot is when the thing has already attended a level where somebody decided I can go around. If I die, there's nothing. If I die, I die. It's very risky act to carry because those people they are targeted. Sometimes you go like teachers. If you just imagine if you interview all of them now, they will tell you that they are in protecting the one school to go, but yet they still attack the various schools and teachers. And then what about the teachers who were the people, one of the group that came out in the 2016 to protest against certain laws that were trying to maybe bring down the English culture? They have become the target. So there is total confusion on the feet. So that's why I'm trying to say that this thing needs a lot of education. I've seen a situation where a couple, they had a problem. They decided to go into their room and lock their room, sit in their room and query there, right to the end of having a solution, because they avoided children from seeing the bad, knowing quarreling in front of the children is a bad act. So they avoided the children from seeing their quarrel. They went into the room and quarreled. So in this situation, I'm trying to say that it needs a lot of education. As I said from the beginning, on the government side, it will be easy to control it, maybe to take those who have committed crimes to book. But on the other side, you don't even know who has committed the crime. So what I'm trying to say is that we should bring by education even to apply to them. Those who are identified at the level of diaspora, they themselves have to put laws within themselves so that such act should be punished. those who commit this crime they at their level, they should be brought before the law. If not, those of them who, because there are people, we have prison leaders who are in the diaspora, who accept the responsibility. So if attack on schools, it cannot be controlled, and you are controlling people on the ground, then you should be targeted, because we don't see any crime that has been committed by the children and the teachers that are on the street.
My question now to you on what you said, that you buy with Mr. Kitishi, but there's a problem here. When we are looking at Boya is stable, we have teachers in Boya. What stops these teachers in Boya, which is stable, to move to the street and say, okay, our colleague have been killed in Ikondo Titi, and the 3 or 4 young Cameroonians have been shot. We demand an end to this attack of schools, and the teachers should flood the street and move to the competent authorities. The same way 100 walked in Buya and went to the governor's office. The same way they walked to Bamenda and went to the governor's office. We've seen this. What stops them from this center that are free? And what stops even prominent elites? Because Ndian has prominent elites. So now we are talking about, we've not seen that robust action from these elites who were championing back to school.
Jarvis, I'm trying to say that if the population moves out and goes to the governor's office, if some good result has to come out, it has to come from the government. If the teachers react, it means that they are asking the government to carry out some measures that will keep them safe from being attacked. They are rioting. I don't see any direct effect that it would put on the guys who are in the bush. Are you getting me right? So it is right. They have to come out from time to time. But it is now, if they have to go to the government, then what should the question is, what are the measures that the government has been putting so that these guys in the bush should not kill? I know that the government has been taking some measures, and it is not working because they are hiding in the bush. You cannot take a law against somebody who is hiding and he comes out, commit a crime, and goes back into the bush. That's why from the beginning I said that politically, sometimes let us bring some kind of political proposals. We should not take schools and use education as a tool of victory. Okay. If you come to the media and you are boasting how in your area you have succeeded to stop separatist activities and school is going on, you are involving them inside, they will feel like, since school is going on because we have been defeated, let us go out, create some chaos so that they should see that we are still living in this area. Let us avoid bringing schools into the politics. Yes, schools should be neutral. Because let me learn. Because normally at this level, if we were to, on the side, I don't see it. The only thing we can do now, Jarvis, on the hand of the government, is to create those zones that we call safe zones. So that children should move from the subdivision, move from the rural areas, and create some zones where there will be tough security, open schools. Let teachers stay there and the children stay there and go to school. That's the only thing that can make school goes without attacks. Because teachers, you cannot go to school and you go back into your neighborhood. They will not come and attack you in the town. They will wait for the time you will return to your neighborhood, and they will get you there.
Mr. Kitishi, before coming to our panelists who have just joined us here, I want to ask you this question. When we all look at these happenings, we have prominent elites in Njan. Even the Prime Minister is from the area. We have locally elected government officials in this area. And it is a right of a government to protect lives and properties. Are we saying that adequate security was not provided to these schools? Because where were the forces of law and order? If we still consider this area red zone, it means that at least even if you cannot protect the students as they are leaving school, you should even protect the establishment and the institution. What went wrong from your observation? Because I know you are not in the government.
No, there's been a lot of politicking more than technical work on the field. Because it's no longer, it's not possible to provide security for schools No government will ever tell you that, oh, we're going to provide security for schools, you can now go to school now. It's not possible. If you take Indiana alone, I don't know how many schools are there. If you want to spread it to the whole of the region, that is the southwest, before moving now to the northwest, you will find that if you take the whole of the Cameroon army, it will not be enough to man all the schools. So rather than claiming that no schools are going on where schools are now safe, you can go, and then threatening the teachers who are not going, who are not exposing their lives to the bullets, rather than going that courageous or that proud approach whereby it's victory rather, you know, kind of bringing down or reducing the other side to the weaker level, rather than approaching it that way, it should be a more moderate and reasonable approach, whereby clearly you state that no, we cannot provide security for schools and teachers. And all what we can say is that we are going to promote a bigger solution to the issue so that schools can benefit from that bigger solution. And that's why there's much talk about dialogue and all other things that have been proposed. Because you can't tell me that when you provide security for schools, you will not provide for churches. You will not provide for markets and bigger places where people gather. In fact, schools are just one of those places where people assemble in big numbers. So, and they need security. All the sectors need security. I was telling you about the church. I can even tell you about palaces, for example. There are those bigger places that assemble people. No government can provide security for all these areas, especially for schools where you have children. Where you have children. They don't come from one end. It's not like everybody leaves from one end and they're coming here, and they leave from here and they're going there. The teachers are the same. They are spread. Once they leave, everybody's going to their own direction. So for the particular case of Ndian, the elite there, or those whom you call elite, who are in the government and who were elected, in quotes, because there has been this controversy about elections, most of the people you may be thinking about don't live there. They don't live there. And so they don't even feel the pain as much as those who are living there.
But the Prime Minister is from the
area. The Prime Minister has another role to play because he belongs to another group. He belongs to the government, and you know that no member of that group can come out and behave the way we who are down there or those people who are living there would expect them to behave. It will be contrary to their policy. Their policy is, for example, their target is the separatists. And they say, okay, if you don't lay down arms, we're coming for you. And we're coming for you with guns. They forget there is the consequences that can happen on those who are along the way, that is, along the way to the separatists. And most of them are schools and all the communities that we're talking about. People are going to the farm, they are attacked. People are going to school, they are attacked. They're going to church, they are attacked. So they forget that the use of arms, and that's why, on a general note, there has been this condemnation of the military approach in the management of the problem. What has been termed generally as the Anglophone problem. So that the management of it has been wrong because the consequences have been too much. So there was no way those elite could provide security for the schools. There was no way.
Briefly, you just raised an issue about the punitive measures given to teachers, especially during this conflict zone where they are forced to go to school. Like we saw a communique came out from, I'm sure it should be from Kumbu, where a DO penned down, names of teachers and gave warning that teachers are collaborating with the armed separatists because they don't want to come and teach, and that they are pretending as if there's a war in the area, and so teachers will be punished, their salaries will be slashed. But yet, we are seeing attacks on schools, and nobody seems to take responsibility to say, okay, maybe there's an insurance policy that if teachers are killed in the course of this conflict, a certain number or a certain amount of money will be given to the family, or so kind of a motivational factor.
Yeah.
Who are we fooling then?
You forget one aspect. They said that the teachers are sponsoring.
Yes, sponsoring
the separatists.
The
Because when they give money to the separatists, you ask yourself, if I find myself alone in my small studio somewhere in Kumbu, where I am from, maybe Manfe or somewhere, I'm a teacher there, And I'm attacked at night, and all that I have to give is the money. If I don't give it, I'm in trouble. Before I ever get to the DO in Bamenda who wrote the letter, I'll be a dead man. So at one point, that's why I said the government cannot speak another language. That is the language of the government, which is different from the language of the people who are living the situation on the ground. Because the teacher is facing the reality there. You can never tell him to not to give money at the time when he's attacked or when she's attacked. Or you can never tell them to go back to a war zone when they know that their bullets are fired every day. So if I go there and I'm going to school and it happens, what do I benefit? I am a dead man. It's not as if, again, it is to back what the government has chosen as its own approach. The DOs, I understand, the pressure is coming from Yaoundé.
But they live the reality.
Yes, the reality they live is that they are protected. They have security around them. Most of them, their families don't live with them. That's the truth. So what they do is they sign the communique and stay in the office. They can't go out. For them to go out, they have to call Bamenda or Boya to provide the beer guys who have to come and then accompany them to go out to the field. So even the schools, like we're saying, the DO simply asks for reports. He can no longer visit schools like they used to do before, because for you to step out, you need maximum security. And at a certain point in time, you don't go out of the car except when you are going out of the car, the armored car, to get into a hall for a small meeting, and after that you are going back. So how effective will it be if you suspend salaries? Most of the teachers have said, yes, go ahead and suspend the salaries. We will continue in the courts if at all it is necessary. So,
coming to, we've just been joined by Barozil. Barozil, you are a teacher. Who benefit from this attack of schools? When teachers are forced to go to school, students are forced to go to school, insecurity still persists. Our brothers and sisters, our brothers who claim they want to protect us or restore whatever they believe in, are attacking us. And sometimes those who are supposed to protect also invade schools and accuse teachers of collaborating with some of those our brothers whom have picked up arms. At the end of the day, who benefits from this chaos?
Yes, I'm first of all sorry for coming late. Traffic disturbed me a little. So I want to say that this crisis, there is a lot of confusion yesterday. Because if you are from Munya, yes, and if you see that when you leave from Douala to Boya, there is a lot of security at Miselele, more than it was before. But at times, what they just do there is that the driver stop and they collect their 500 francs and go. When you leave, so just a few days ago, I went to Boya. The way an army, because I've never seen it. What we are trying to say is that I was discussing with one of my friends. The truth is that nobody should generalize that is this person, is this person. Because those guys, the way they are operating now in the Southwest and Northwest, the money which they are making, they will not even want a crisis to end. Because our brothers, because in Moyoka, the school I was teaching in, the proprietor of the school have told me that they have said you can come and start your school. But the location, your school has already been taken by the military as a camp. So locate elsewhere, you can start a school. And schools are going on in Moyoka. So it's just that there are some people, and one person even told me that the proprietors, Anglophone proprietors in Moyoka, and sorry, in Douala here, who have schools, who have benefited from this crisis, they can also send people, and all those points can be true. Yes, all those things are true. So nobody, those who are benefiting from this thing is the military and the separatists. Yes.
Business.
It's a business. Both police, gendarme, in short, all those men in uniform apart from the custom and
how are they benefiting where a military man risks his life, puts his life on the line to protect the community, and how does he benefit from this? Because we have seen military people who have been killed on a regular basis, struggling to defend the fatherland. And how do they benefit? Because like the incident in the Kondo Titi, where a certain faction of the armed separatists say they carry out the attack, this other faction is accusing this faction is accusing this faction. At the end of the day, where does the military benefit there?
The fact is that this military, somebody told me that the way it's seen, as if these guys are discussing with the military. And it's true.
Which guys?
It might be true. The separatists. It might be true. Because when there is crisis, government will put in more money. They will send more military for missions. They will send more of them for missions. And the allowances, I have my younger sister, is a husband to a military man. I told him, I don't want that they should send a husband for mission. He said, what, brother, what are you saying like that? He said, when they send a for mission, that is when they instead make more money. But because most of them want to go for missions. So anything that can happen, anything can happen. They can just say, okay, you go and attack. They attack. Because when the separatists are attacking, they too, they are also kidnapping. They also kidnap and have ransom. Others, they have, there is a business that the two of them are doing. That only God and the two of them, they know. But the problem is, the former delegate of Indian Division is a disgrace to him, the former delegate, because he was the one pressurizing teachers that come and stay in Indian, come and live in Indian, I will suspend your salary. Under his watch, 6 delegates were kidnapped. He did not say anything. He did not offer a word. That is why, to me, teachers who are still now in the southwest and northwest, in some bad areas, like Moyoka, in Kono City, they are there at their own expense.
So you are saying that they should not exercise the civic responsibility?
It's not civic responsibility because even the government is not exercising civic responsibility. Most of those divisional officers who say go to the field, go and do your job, they are not in their offices. Most of them are living in Boya. Some of them are living in Bamenda. Others are living in Douala here. They do things only in other places which they are safe. But they are sending these people because they think that they are in the position to intimidate them. Yes, because they are in the position to intimidate them. What my fellow panelists said is that the only way is that the government can create a buffer zone, a safe zone, and send, if I were the government, it's just that the government does not even care about anybody. That is why if anybody who is, I told somebody that normally the only thing is that struggle that at the end, because normally anything that has a beginning must have an ending. Just struggle that before it ends your life. Yes, because the government, this government, they don't care about anybody.
But let me ask you this briefly. You said when you go down to Boya from Isilile, you have a lot of checkpoints, police checkpoints. Are you by chance saying that those number of soldiers or police should be reduced from those checkpoints and sent to protect schools?
No, what I'm trying to say is that there is no need for them to be there. Because normally,
where should they be now?
The fact is that they should go, maybe in short, they should either go back to the barracks, because to me, if actually they want to check when a bus comes, they should open the bus. If possible, they remove some bus and open. And they see that if they're not in there, they put the bus and people go. Not that they will stand there and be collecting 500 and see, hey, I even thought that the guy will shoot. Hey, arrete. Then I said, this one is what? Is it? Are we in there? Are we? Because that happened in Maram Muntengene. Of which Muntengene is not even experiences this crisis too much. But they happen around Muntengene. So I asked myself, so most of those guys are on the road, they are not doing security, they are just collecting their money, and it is for their own interest that the crisis should continue. Yes, it will be for their own interest that the crisis should continue. So all of them, they are doing everything to make sure that all the while we have been saying here is just all those guys, in short, their heart has been hardened. Yes, their heart has been hardened in such a way that so far as they are making their money, they don't care about anybody. So what I have to just say to my fellow colleagues, teachers, is that some of them, we ran and came to Douala here. It was not by our own making. Yes, it was not by our own making. So others have also run. They should struggle and be safe. They should know very well that this government does not care about anybody. Yes, this government does not care about anybody. Yes, so yes, the government does not care about anybody. So as so you discover that the security and the separatist fighters, they are there purposely fighting for their own interest. And instead, some of them actually have, last time I came here, I said they should release AKEBA. Because most of those separatist fighters, because there are many factions now, but if AKEBA come, all of them will rally behind him, and they will have one say.
Briefly, let me ask you this again before coming to Mr. Ignatius, briefly. The Cameroon government and the separatists, the Cameroon government says they've organized a series of dialogue. Dialogue is a process, like the Gamma National Dialogue Inclusive. And they say, okay, security will be provided to schools in order to ensure that they are protected. Now, are you a teacher? How much, when you go around, how much securities do we have in schools? Because at least you cannot protect the students as they are living, but you should protect at least few of these institutions, especially in the red zones like Kondo Titi, Banga Bakundu, Bombe Bakundu, all the schools. We have seen how the government has tried in an effort when the conflict was at its peak in 2018, where the schools in Moya were relocated to Moliko, where there's a section for Lycée Moliko for the schools in Moya, there's a section for the schools in Bomaka, all those in Lycée Moliko. So maybe how much security do we have in some of the schools now?
Yes, when in that 2018, when we were vigilating the GCE, in Moya, let me correct you, the Eastern Moya by that time was relatively safe. So they removed those around Moya area, Bomaka, my sister to come around in Moya, GBHS. Munya. So I'm vigilated there because we have run from Moyoka now. They called me that I should come and vigilate. When I was vigilating, before we started the vigilation, the first day, there were 10 policemen. The second day, they reduced to 6. The third day, in short, it was 1. And of which we still had about many weeks to write the GCE. But the report which I got during 6 p.m. news in one channel was that GBS Munya, they are writing GCE under tight security. I asked myself, this government is just fake. I don't know whether it's fake.
How do you call it government fake now?
No, there is a lot of propaganda.
You are safe because of the government is providing security. Because if not, if we say fake, we'll not have been living in this kind of secure environment.
Which government? Look. Let me tell you something. This government of Cameroon is not protecting anybody.
Thank you, Mr. Ignatius. Just
like he said, I'm trying to say that money is also pushing some authorities to push teachers to go and die. Remember, sometimes even the DO of Ngoketunja, as I said, had to be going around the neighborhood, carrying children, because he now goes around the military. He picks children from around the quarters in the armored car and take them to the school. When they close, he himself still involved in. You carry children from there, you go to the quarter and live. You see, somebody cannot be doing this one. There should be a budget. He has encouragement from behind. But the question I'm asking is that he is encouraging teachers to go to the field. But those people who are killed, I don't see him coming behind to react against the killing of those teachers. It is the same thing. When the Minister of Territorial Administration visited Laurence, he called on the chiefs, the funds, and asked them to go back to their palaces, that the situation is calm now. What happened? In the Libya subdivision, 3 chiefs were killed. Did you hear him speak anymore? Okay. All these things is because when there is a budget and you need to work to show that you have used the budget on what the budget has been allocated for. So they have to carry acts that will push others into danger. But my call to the teachers is that at this level where nobody wants to respect the order, it should be teacher initiative. It should be do what you can do to survive on the field. Then on the government, instead of claiming to give security which is not sufficient, the government should instead make some incentives, some benefits on the side of the teachers where you carry the risk and go into the field. I know that when I go and survive, I return, I will enjoy. I know that I carry some risks, like soldiers who, when we send soldiers to that field, when we're sending soldiers for Boko Haram, those of them who go there and return alive, they have a benefit that are paid, so that you should be motivated to go there yourself. Let teachers carry a personal initiative, how to survive. Let the parents also take. When I mean personal initiative, even a soldier, they work on command. When your commander sends you that there is a group, they go and shoot. Sometimes when you're a soldier, you go there. Your commander is not behind you. When you reach there, you see that the group is, the weapon they are holding is more than the one you are carrying. You hide. Go and hide somewhere, or you return back and tell your commander that it is above my level. That is what we call personal initiative, that you go and die. You should not go and engage in a fight that is more, that you will end up a dead person. Teachers should use personal initiative. And I repeat again, we should not bring education into this politics. We should stop using schools as a tool for victory.
Before coming to Mr. Kitishi, when you talk about personal initiative, are you saying that these teachers should not even go and teach? Because we have seen communique flying left and right, telling them that they are sponsors of, or they are sponsors of the armed separatists, because they don't want to come and teach, they are giving the armed separatists money to pretend as though the situation is that bad so that they can be enjoying government salary without working.
But
and
Jarvis, I want to stop you there. You know that these teachers, these schools in those zones, some schools function for some time, and then there are schools that function for some time. When there's an attack, they close down. And that time that those schools are functioning, those separatists, they know that the school is on. What I mean personal initiative is that when you are a teacher in that zone, what you know that the military does not want, don't do. What you know that the separatist guys do not want, don't do.
In this situation,
where the military,
if
they ask you that in this week you are going to stay in the house, stay in the house and continue the next week.
Hold on, I want to get a clear understanding. In this situation where the separatists say, don't come and teach, the military say, go and teach, what should you do there?
Do what you should do to stay alive.
And what is that?
The military should be teaching.
Yeah, let the teacher do what you should do to stay alive. If a dead man is a living man who is poor or illiterate is better than an educated corpse.
That is it.
Yes. Mr. Kitishi, 3 weeks ago, the governor of the Southwest region, Bernard Okalia Bilai, before this incident was in, I think, Indian, where he was commissioning the new, I think, a prefect or something like that. Yeah. And he said he will give an order that those elites, those members of parliament and council mayors who were elected should be removed because they are not living in their constituency or they are not living in the area. And it's not been long. We had, just after that, we had this attack in Ekondo Titi, and the elites who are still quiet. Was the governor right in this circumstance? And is the governor too helpless or angry that these people are not living in their area? Who is fooling who here?
No, the government is not wrong and is not right. He's playing his role. I told you that there are two camps. One camp has the instruction of saying that it has to work this way and staying there. The other camp is leaving the situation on the field and finding a solution there as much as they can, as better as they can. Like my colleagues out here are saying, strive to survive. So make it in such a way that by the time this thing ends, you are alive. Because if you have to listen to speeches, you will go and die, like the teachers are saying. You go into a rural school in a rural community. What security can be provided there? No, it's not possible. I like the example of the GCE, whereby 10 police people were sent for supervision.
In Munya?
And then after some time,
he said the next day we had 6.
Dropped to 6 and then dropped to 1. And yes, because it is expensive. It's expensive, and those are some of the things that are pulling those who want the crisis to continue to go on. I can assure you that the government is not having it easy keeping this war. It's not having it easy. Take one soldier, just one soldier, taken from Yaoundé to Bamenda, for example, and then taken from Bamenda to a neighboring, maybe Oku, Kumbo, anywhere, or taken from Boya, from Douala or Yaoundé to Boya, and then from Boya to another locality out there. On a daily basis, they are fed. On a daily basis, they have allowances. They have to be paid.
Communication credit.
No. You have particular amount of money that has to be given to you on a daily basis. Sometimes it varies. It could be 2,500, 3,000, and it changes with ranks. So when you evaluate all of that, and you include the police, and you include the gendarme officers, to keep them for 1 week.
And you include also collaborators.
Yes. If you keep them for 1 week, you see what it costs. And nothing is coming back in return. It's not as if you are going to invest money to get something back. So money for 5 years has been going like that. And now it is coming back because it's no longer there. And that's why you'll be surprised that some other projects are standing. Because there is no more enough money to keep other projects going and at the same time manage the security that the government is promising, either for schools or for the society in general. So it is damn expensive. And I understand why the teachers are saying to strive to survive rather than listening to A or B. Strive to survive. Do what you can do to survive. Second, it's a surprise war, be it for the government or for the population. It's a surprise war. And for a situation where neither the government nor the population prepared for the war, they didn't access, it's a serious issue. Access. If you know that the Minister of Defense, for example, was attacked in the same Ekondo Titi environment, And he came back and said he would never set foot in that environment anymore. And offered mass. And offered mass for those who are Catholics to pray that thank God I came back. We saw pictures of his car that was shot, and it's as if they were looking for that person. Came back and said, no, thank you God. That they'll never set foot on that place anymore. So access is a problem. Nobody knows where they are going to. They say, okay, tomorrow people are going to Ekonotiti. A young man from Yaoundé or whoever has never been even to Munya. Then all of a sudden he lands in Boya in a car. And then he enters another car. They are going to Ekonotiti. He doesn't know. By the time he knows he's going to a road that is slippery, he starts telling, he himself is afraid. He is confused. And then they say, okay, 6 of you will stay here. They drop them there. They turn around. There's no electricity. There's nothing. And you have to be there for days. By 8 p.m., you start getting funny sounds of animals. No, all they can do is shoot. All they can do is shoot. And as they are shooting, innocent people are falling. Okay? Now, access and corruption too has come and destroyed most of the initiatives that were taken. When money leaves from the top to get down, to trickle down to those who are on the ground, it is no longer the same. If 10,000 left from here to get to be here on the field, by the time it gets here, it's 2,000 francs. And then the complaint, since it's a command environment, you don't complain publicly, the pain is kept inside. And then the revenge is otherwise. People have been arrested for selling arms.
Yeah.
For selling arms, for dealing with, like he said, for dealing with the separatists and selling arms. Or for being accomplices. You say, okay, they've stolen my gun. You say, but explain the circumstances for stealing your gun, you know? And then all of a sudden...
That's how you have other issues, extrajudicial arrest,
yes,
kidnapping.
Yes, are happening like that on a daily basis. So many things come into play, and the language of truth is that resources are going but are not coming back. And it's no human endeavor can be sustainable with that approach. No human endeavor. If you have a project where you're only going and putting money and coming back for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you are putting money. You can only kneel down at one point. So if it continues this way, I can bet you that maybe electricity at one point will not even be available.
Be epileptic.
It will leave from those areas and start affecting the other areas, just gradually. And on other areas, like I said, other projects can no longer move as they were moving. Don't be surprised about this talk about African Nations Cup and the rest, where they have not done this, they have not done that. It is not their fault. The money that is supposed to go for those things is no longer coming as it was supposed to come, yes. So the government cannot provide security for all schools. It cannot. It's impossible.
But Mr. Kitishi, I understand the fact that you've carefully streamlined a series of factors. But what happened in situation where we have the government telling us that all is well, like Lishu Mbela out in the United Nations, that the situation is being contained. And also we are witnessing a situation where international law and national law, let me first start with international law, says that an attack of school is a crime against humanity and a war crime. But we have factions still attacking schools. These same factions are ones that Geneva Convention should be respected.
Yeah.
Are we not biting and blowing at the same time?
Somewhere I wrote that this is a situation where you cannot even qualify. It's a crime. It's a crime. I hesitate to say the separatists attacked a school, the military attacked a school. To me, it's a crime. And I regret that there is no good investigator to get the criminals. That's the situation. Because no right-thinking person would attack a hospital, would attack a school. No right-thinking person. Because if you attack a hospital and then it happens that you are hurt on the field and you have to come there for treatment, and it's the hospital that you attacked. And then if you are fighting to create a separate country, for example, a separate state, and then you are shooting down children, By the time you get that state, you will not have people to work with. You will not have citizens for that state. So you are killing the seeds that are supposed to give power to the state for which you are fighting. So like I said, no right-thinking person, both ways, will want to attack a school.
So there's a confusion somewhere.
It's a crime. It's a crime. And I report it simply as gunmen attacked this school. All right? So what happens? Who is supposed to find out who shot and killed the children? That is the point. Now, by the time you lay hands on them, don't say these are separatists or these are the army. No, these are criminals. They are simply criminals. Because if you have an ideology, or this is the idea, this is the cause for which I stand, and the other person say, no, this is where I stand. The other one say, no, I want to separate. The other one say, no, unitary state. That's the ideology. The school has nothing with any of the
either of the ideology.
Nothing. So if something happens to school, it's a crime. And I will take it, and I take it as
the guys of both sides are criminals.
Yes.
If it's proven.
If it's proven. And that's where my regret is, that we now lack the credible institution to prove who did what, so that we get the criminals rather than getting separatists or. But then it is the consequence of the war, that is the two ideologies clashing. The consequence is that criminals now take advantage and are making some of those
both ends.
Yeah, both ends.
Mr. Nonsense, what should our communities do? Because we've seen where communities have been active. I'm sure in some communities in Bamenda, they came out and chased away the armed separatist group that were in their area, which because they were tired of some of the excesses, and of course the guys left the area. And this time we're witnessing killings and the rest and both ends. What can our communities do if the government cannot provide us security, and if our children too must go to school? Because if a child is in the house, he spends more than if that child is in school. It's like the same investment the military is doing. So something goes out and nothing comes in immediately.
Okay, there is one thing that this government did from the beginning. Before this crisis, in GBT, in most technical schools, Francophone trained teachers were the ones teaching in technical schools.
Yeah,
now,
answer my question. That one it has nothing to do
question, no, it has something.
With Francophone teachers.
No, it has something because why did the teachers start? The teachers were the ones who first stopped school.
Which teachers? Because
the teachers.
We are aware that on the 9th or the 8th of, that should be...
on the 21st of November.
No, that should be on the 8th or the 7th of January. The Teachers Trade Union met in Bamenda under the consortium met in Bamenda. In the words of Tasang, Wilfred said, it is on the 9th we will know if it is Yaoundé that control us or control. And Agobala said, children should not go to school, office should be grounded. And how is that related to the teachers that are saying that stop school? Because we saw it was a consortium that called for a boycott.
Before they called for the boycott, when the lawyers started, they accused teachers that because when teachers have a problem, lawyers render them services free of charge. When the lawyers now blame, the lawyers ask teachers that, so you people are doing like that. Do you also know that you also have problems? And teachers now also went out and looked into the problems. That was why they held their meeting. And finally, school was stopped 21st of November 2016. So now, these separations are only capitalized now on schools which the teachers were themselves were the ones that said we will not go to school again. So they only capitalized. But if the government initially they operated things the way it was supposed to be, if they respected the Fumban the decisions taken at the Fumban conference, that Cameroon will have two official languages, English and French, and all the languages will be equal, no matter the number of population, no matter the size of the population. This we wouldn't have gotten to where we are now. And talking about security, I said before that the government, the community just need to be, for instance, is asking of investigation. In civilized countries, in CNN, you see journalists, there are war, journalists are reporting the times of war. And military people, which is armies, they give them helmet, give them gun proof. In short, they equip them very well. In such a way that even a stable cannot, because they, in short, they protect journalists very well. The other I saw in Moyoka in TV, you went to cover this in there. I look at it and say, Massa, because empty nothing. But normally it's the military that is supposed to supply journalists. But the military does not even want that somebody should even know what is happening. And the separatist fighters and the military, they are supposed to respect the position of the journalists, respect the position of teachers. But the happens that those are the most important people in the community that help government to develop.
My question now to you, what can our communities do? Is there anything we can do? Mr. Ignatius talked about personal initiative.
Yes,
what can the mothers, the fathers do?
This war is a guerrilla. It's a guerrilla welfare. Nobody can protect schools. The community can't do anything, because if I will run and shoot you with a stone, run and hide, you don't see me, you cannot do anything. Yes, you will not do anything. So the only problem, the only difficulty, the only issue now is that the separatists and the military should know that schools are very important for the development of any country, and they should respect that. That's the first thing, they should respect that. And since the separatists are in many groups, the government itself is not solving the problem, because there is one man that if the person is there, he can call all those groups and they will come together into one, and they can discuss a common front. They can have a common front. Now he's in prison. So far as Ayotawe is in prison, separatists, because now is that Amazonia Defense Forces will say, we don't want school.
But let me ask you this question. Briefly. The government called for a grand measure national data, inclusive one, 2020. The government ordered the release of some prominent frontline leaders. That was August 30th, like that, that should be 2019. Agobala and Co were released. And the government has done a series of measures in terms of ensuring that this conflict is resolved. But you say the government seemingly has not done nothing. Are you saying that from what the government has been doing so far, though may not be enough, is nothing?
Look, the government, in the first place, they did not even have any right to lock Agobala up. Agobala has never instigated. Look, in the constitution of Cameroon, the people have the free will to express their feelings by protesting. But it should be a peaceful protest. And to the best of my knowledge, the last went to the field and they were protesting. Nobody destroyed even a grain of granite. Nobody. But after they called for a meeting, they attended a meeting and they were arrested after, because the government wanted, because they did not do their business. Because the government wanted to impose. Dr. Fontaine, they stood their ground and they were locked up. In the first place, there was no reason why they were supposed to lock them up. And then the Grand National Dialogue, which to me, that was, in short, it was nothing to me. That one was not anything.
Okay, to you?
To me, they just needed to compensate some CPZ and parents. No. Yes, they don't need to compensate them.
Yeah.
Where you said something, how the community should do to survive in this
what can the community
do
to protect our schools? If the government cannot give us the security, what can we do as a people?
You know, protecting the school is the same as surviving in the zone. Yes, it's the same as surviving in the zone. Let me tell you what happened one time when I went to the village in the community where I come from. On the 1st of October, where these guys they always do their celebration, there was turnout on the field right to the level that there was a stampede. And what did that happen? It is because some of the people commanding were these guys, and some of their groups, friends, came from another group. So when they were around, there was population on the field, they sent bullets up to signal to those that they were around. People misunderstood the bullets to the separatists. People thought that the soldiers have arrived. You know, that celebration, people were forced to buy their T-shirt, many of them.
Forced?
By force. So that stampede happened when they heard the bullet. Everybody went into the bush, and then as each person was running, you are running and removing the T-shirt from your body
after being forced
so that it should not be seen by the military wearing it. So when I called my brother, I tried to ask him that why did people turn out so massively to this guy's call. He told me that, do you think people when they it was not by their choice. You are going there was to reduce the number of strokes that will be given on their on their bottom. So that what I'm saying. See that do what you should do to survive. See, if the government cannot, the people should respect the both sides. Respect the government and also respect
the fact that people were forced.
I'm telling you that more than 500 T-shirts were sold. Until when the gunshot was heard, each person that was running into the bush he struggles to remove it and throw it, because when the military sees you with that T-shirt, you are finished. So people told the military, that was to tell you that the people are trying to survive with those who were around them. Do you see? Just like I was talking to the teacher, I said from the beginning that when poachers started killing forest guards, the government found a good solution for that. All the forest guards were sent to Kutaba to be trained. They are now professional. The poachers do not kill them because they themselves can shoot. If the government sees that they cannot supply security to the teacher, let the teacher be sent to training, so that if the separatists come, the teacher should be the first to start shooting before the soldiers come. The issue here, Jarvis, as you are saying, is surviving. Okay. It's surviving in the field. If people can survive there without attack, schools will go on.
Mr. Akichi, please, let me say something briefly. What is saying that shoot? Look, with a gun, if you have 400 rounds, that one which when we're small, we call the new face of Sierra Leone. That one that you hold it, 400 round gun, and I have one gun. Immediately as I put it on your head, you are helpless with that gun. The separatist, this is not something that somebody will come and stand in your front and shoot you. My younger sister, child was shot in Munya. Luckily, it was the bullet got her on the leg, and the bullet was this local guns. You understand? Because they shoot you without you even seeing. So it's not something that somebody will come and stand in front of you and say, I want to shoot you. Even a person come and stand in front of you with your gun already loaded, what will you do? Yes. So the only thing, so there is a lot of confusion in this thing.
Mr. Kittiche, I'm sorry this is the first time that you're hearing the revelation that the people who turn out during the 1st October march in some localities were actually forced to go. And in their faces, from all the videos that we saw, you could not see a resistance in it based on the fact that they learned to survive. So what can our communities do to learn to survive in this current time of insecurity while hoping that our students have the right to go to school?
As we speak, there will be lockdown tomorrow. So, so if you had to travel to Boya or to Bamenda, and you are in Douala as we're talking on this table, just postpone your trip. That's the advice I can give. In fact, stay safe, because the consequences we have seen when you open your shop, because the governor came and gave instructions that you should open your shop, and you open it while the governor is still in his office. By the time news goes out, oh, there's smoke somewhere, he's coming back and the shop is down. You will not get a dime back. You will not get anything back. So once those guys say lockdown, lockdown. Once the military comes and say, okay, now we're here and we're saying that tomorrow you people will go to school. You have to open the schools. All teachers who have not been to school, you have to go. If you listen to the military and you see that there's an issue of lockdown where a shop was burnt and nobody was compensated, now if I go there and I'm shot, I will not be compensated. You stay back at home. It's safer. It's safer for you. So in fact, stay safe. Whatever, the approach, like we say, we cannot isolate one component of the society, that this one can be protected. You cannot isolate schools, that they can be given security, while the other components now are left on their own. It's a war which you don't have. It's not conventional. It's not conventional. So do not isolate. Solve the problem. Sit down. Nothing stops Cameroonians from talking, from sitting down to talk and say, okay, what is the problem? Where are we going to? We have been wasting resources all this while. I'll give you an example of what it takes to keep a military soldier out of their home for 2 weeks. If you multiply that by the number of soldiers spread around the country, when we have major challenges in the far north and in the east, and for those most of us are not aware of what is happening there, but it's serious. It's sufficiently serious. Sometimes a military camp, a whole military camp is wiped out. In Cameroon's military camp is wiped out, the borders, and you have to replace them. And then come now, you're taking care of the families of those who were lost in the war, and it's not an easy thing to manage. So rather than spending unnecessarily on unnecessary pride, you sit down and say, okay, no, we have wasted too much time knocking our heads. What's the situation like? Okay, we took a team that was already planning to see how to mobilize people to be together, and we're locked up in, like he was saying, locked up in prison, to call them out and say, okay, come out, gentlemen. Well, first thing is that we're sorry to have gone that far. Now sit down at the table. Because you don't discuss with prisoners, you discuss with free men, like Mandela said. You don't discuss with prisoners. Prisoners don't negotiate. Free men do. Say, okay, what's the bargain? If you want to think that you are going to provide security for schools, you only make speeches and end up and go away. And then the victims will be what we have in Kondo Titi, what we have in Buea, what we have in Buea. And the victims will be the teachers who are exposing their lives, where they have no single, there are communities where you don't even have a gendarmerie brigade functioning. Not to talk of a police station. They don't exist. I'm talking of subdivisions that exist, yes. Without, or even when they exist, the 2 or 3 people who are there are only on the alert, making sure that nobody comes and attacks them. You can't go and report anything there. You cannot, not to talk of saying that, any stranger around them is an enemy. They are staying there so that when their bosses come in, you will see that they are on duty. Okay, not to talk of you saying that there's a school there to go and protect. You say, me, I go and protect that school. So you find yourself saying that, no, it's becoming funny. I can't leave this place. This is where I belong. I will die here. Because I have the guns, I have the bulletproof jacket, I have everything. I can't leave from here with it. He stays there. Some of them are eating and living there. They don't, because their homes, they can't stay in homes in, sometimes those who even give out houses to either the military or whoever, they become targets, enemies. So most of them have packed out of their homes and they are living in those tight environments in the police stations and gendarmerie offices. So we cannot isolate schools. We cannot. It's pretense. It's pretense. If the problem is general, the problem is general, and we look for a general solution. Get out the leaders who were locked up and put them down and say, okay, help us take the lead and bring back the other groups. Let us see how to move ahead, because we have wasted too much time. We have other challenges over there. That's how reasonable people can start talking. We have challenges of the far north where we are not even able to master the environment, because that's another difficult environment that people don't know. It's just bare, it's open. And our borders are so porous. We have abandoned them for too long. We don't control our borders. We only focused on Yaoundé and Douala and thought that was Cameroon.
And a major highway.
Yes, we thought that was Cameroon. It is when this crisis started that we realized that, there are many Cameroons around us. Yes, there are communities that don't even know the France CFA. But they are within our map.
Yes.
You get there, I went to one of them from Garwa, just Bandake. It's just about 60 kilometers away from Garwa. When you get there, when I asked for soya, they were roasting meat. They gave me the price in Naira.
Even we start there.
So I said, no, I have the CFA. They say, okay, how much CFA do you have? I said, they say, okay, they had to do a calculation. They then give me the equivalence. And when I'm giving him, he has somebody who will collect and give him the Naira. Because the Naira that is often used there.
Well, on the Cameroon territory.
Oh, yes. There are many of them like that. You get to somewhere in the east where I go to, I said, how are you? Fine. Who is Paul Biya? No, look at me, he's looking at me. He said, I cannot imagine what I was talking about.
And they have to use 100% there.
Oh, yeah, of course, no, that one is different. So, those are realities. The real Cameroon map that we had is very small. Very small compared to that long thing that you see like that. When you go out, you see many Cameroons. Now, to manage them is not easy. I'll give you an example again, like Bakassi. We're so proud to take Bakassi back as Cameroonian territory after agreeing with Nigeria, of course.
Or the Green Tree Accord.
The Green Tree Accord. But the policy that was put in place never worked. Until date, it's a waste. Bakassi is wasting. When I visited Bakassi, the government took the policy of equipping those houses of civil servants who could be there. That is, you had offices with chairs, then you had residences with beds, cupboards, a few things put there so that you bring just basics and you're living there and working there. And the idea was to encourage civil servants to work in those areas. Now, the question of incentives, like he was pointing out, that if teachers have to work in some areas, but give them some incentives so that it can at least keep them there and they can take personal initiatives knowing that at least something is coming in on the other side, okay? But it didn't follow. The transfers sometimes to those places tend to be punitive. You are transferred there because you are this. It's not because you are productive or that you are going to do something useful. Meanwhile, there are people there on the spot who can do something good, but you are not giving them the chance to do that thing. So again, those are the policies that make us lose ground in our country, and then make issues like schools. Schools should not be the worry of government in terms of security. It should be a community issue. We have our school there, this is how security is managed. This is
a collective effort.
For example. But now, when again, we come back to the government with a centralized policy. When you have everything that has to leave from Yaoundé before spreading, a principal in Widikum is appointed from Yaoundé.
And by the president?
Well, no. It's not the president who appoints it. But
they always use the president's name.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But appointed from Yaoundé. Anyway, Yaoundé, the Ministry of Secondary Education is not far from it today. So it's not far from. So he's appointed from Yaoundé. That principal is transferred from maybe Bafoussam to Widikum. He has to work in Widikum. His boss is here in Yaoundé. So the people in Widikum have nothing to tell him or whatever, or to even to check his program. Because they are supposed to know. Why is the principal not in the office today? They are supposed to know. And then 3, 4, 5 days he's not there. Why? You understand? And then he has to render account, or be sacked, or be replaced. So if it's a global problem, we manage it globally. But if it were a particular problem, which is not, this is a global problem we have in hand.
Okay. What Mr. Laurence is saying, he is correct. Like those along Bamenda Batibo Road around Mbunje, they stay indoors, and drivers or riders will pass by, stop and settle control and go. They don't leave their boots. Is from a sender in Bamenda. I mean, the soldiers don't leave their booth. And this other one, it says, good afternoon, everyone. Government teachers are sponsoring Ambazonian terrorists. That is why they are in Yaoundé, Douala, and other places teaching, ending salaries from the two sides. I am Isubu, writing from extreme north. This other one reads, it says, good afternoon, nice program. Thank you very much for bringing objective panelists today. We want to say that we're enjoying the program. This other one reads, it says, we are confused because the ministry censor us from relocation, while the SDO is saying another thing. That the military relocated the teachers, while the SDO is saying another thing. And this other reads, it says, happy Sunday to you all. Please, Jarvis, before 2016, no school was attacked, no school child was killed. Government should stop this war. It's coming from Peter in Tico. We are seemingly out of time. Mr. Innocent, you came in late. Thank you for coming. Your last word before we go.
Yes, I just want to say that teachers in the Southwest and Northwest, I really feel for them. Because my friends who are there, and some of them are my boss, particularly in the Northwest, because in the Northwest the situation is horrible. When I heard that a teacher has been killed, I just think of them. I feel bad for them. So it's only God that will protect them. And then they said they should struggle by all means to stay safe. They should stay safe. And they are talking of sponsoring them. If somebody come meet me in my house and she know me that I'm a teacher, and they say give 50,000, I will give it. And because I'm giving it under God.
No, you should call the government now. The government should come and rescue you.
You stand there.
Because you are aiding and abetting the enemy, will give money.
You stand there and call the government.
Yes.
You stand there with a gun on my head.
You are aiding and abetting the enemy now.
You stand there and you call the government. No, you cannot. It doesn't go like that. As I said, the minister said.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
There's no time. And of course, Mr. Kitishi, thank you for coming, and a special message to parents in the Northwest and Southwest region who are feeling the heat.
No, it's just courage. Just to tell them that they should be courageous, that's all, because they can't do much at this particular point in time. Morally, they are down, and then physically, financially, some of them don't even have homes anymore.
Okay.
Fire has taken everything, so it's just courage. I wish them lots of courage.
Ignatius, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Jarvis. I would like to express my satisfaction for sharing the panel with Mr. Laurence, who is somebody I used to admire on the CRTV the regional station, Littora, for quite a long time. Today we are together with him. And they will also tell the government that the government has to understand that before bringing one Boma tree in the forest, it costs many other trees, smaller trees around them before bringing down. So the government should change from finance. They should use rational method of solving this matter. Then parents, being alive is better than becoming a learned corpse.
Thank you. Yeah. In case you may want to be a participant or a panelist, there's no criteria. Contact me. I will let you know. I'll send you the topic ahead of time so that you can be a member of panel of our program or in any of our discussion. The program is on our YouTube channel, BT Media Group, on our Facebook channel, My Media Prime, our BT Media Facebook page. You can get us exclusively BT Media Facebook page as from next week. Also, you can contact me in case you may want to sponsor the program or you want to give an assistance to the program to promote the program. My name is TAH MAI JARVIS. I'll leave you with this. No matter the matter, what matter is your matter. No matter the matter, what matters is your matter. And what should matter for you is that you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. My name is TAH MAI JARVIS. Bye-bye.